years old, I thought the scene in the 1982 film Annie, where this tiny little girl beats up a gang of juvenile delinquent dog torturing boys.
All right, who's next?
Well, I thought that this was brilliant filmmaking and totally realistic.
Anybody else?
Until I got into my first physical fight ever with my cousin, who was the exact same age as me. I mean, if Annie could beat up a whole gang of boys that were all older and bigger and stronger than her, I could certainly take on one boy who was my age. I lasted for about 30 seconds, and then my cousin swept my leg and dropped me on my back, and I had to deal with the bruises and soreness from that encounter for weeks. I learned the hard way that this is not an accurate depiction of a little girl in a fight. Fast forward several decades, and the entertainment industry's standards for a strong woman are as follows. She has to have the upper body strength of a huge man, the skills of an ultimate fighting champion, while maintaining Hollywood's traditional slim build. I'm sick and tired of seeing female characters in TV shows and movies, many who don't have superpowers or even a weapon on them, who look like they weigh 115 pounds soaking wet, kicking the ass of every man around them. When you throw a punch, you need to put your weight behind it to make an impact. Here we have Kristen Stewart repeatedly punching in a sitting position. She's punching him like this, over and over and over again, swinging her arm like this. There's no weight behind this, and she can't put any weight behind it because she's in a seated position. If the actress is tall with a muscular build and the character is a well-developed warrior who has the training to believably win a scene like this, it's realistic. If the character has a superhero power or magical ability that gives her an advantage in the fight, it still works to tell a decent story. But it's a really bad idea for writers to give their protagonists too much power. An antagonist with limitless powers is terrifying, and it raises the stakes of a story. A protagonist with too much power is a bore. Galadriel is depicted as an indestructible and limitless badass. So I guess the message we are trying to send little girls is a strong woman can take on someone 10 times her size all by herself. In Peter Jackson's Fellowship of the Ring, it took an entire fellowship to defeat a troll, which taught kids the value of teamwork, that there are safety in numbers, and that it's important to have friends who will have your back. But no, not Galadriel. The Rings of Power writers want to depict a strong woman. So she kicks the ass of 5 men in 5 seconds and gets them locked in the cage. She can defeat a troll even bigger than the one in Jackson's films all by herself. What is the message here? That a woman can't be empowered unless she has a man's upper body strength? The truth is, we live in a culture that loves strength and is, repulsed by weakness. That is why Hollywood thinks that depicting women as indestructible fighting machines is appealing. You want to know why people victim blame? Because when we hear about somebody being mugged at knife point, kidnapped at gunpoint, or roofied and raped, or we heard about somebody's house being broken into, we want to assume that this could never ever happen to us. So we victim blame. You always hear guys go, I would have kicked the mugger's ass.
But if it was me, I'd have ripped the spine out his ass.
I would have made a big scene in the mall and caused a whole bunch of attention on me, and so the guy with the gun wouldn't have been able to kidnap me.
I will beat your ass like a Cherokee drum.
I would have watched my cup all night long so nobody could put a roofie in it. We victim blame all the time because we want to think that we will never, ever be the victim.
Women can do anything.
Characters like Galadriel and these indestructible women impact society's perception of women. This will lead to more victim blaming. Why didn't you leave your abusive husband? Why didn't you quit your toxic work environment and fight your toxic boss and the entire HR department that supported him? Why didn't you fight off the entire group of rapists? And if you think it's just a movie, it's just a TV show. It doesn't have any impact on society. I encourage you to watch John Oliver's report on Law & Order Special Victims Unit, how women who have been raped watch the show, get inspired to report it, and then find themselves in a criminal justice system that is nothing like the one depicted on TV. Cops and lawyers and judges do nothing to help them. The cops and lawyers and judges victim blame them and do nothing to get justice or put the rapist behind bars. What we watch greatly impacts our reality. And if you think that people are so much smarter than this And if movie after movie after movie is depicting a strong woman with the upper body strength of a man, if you think that that's not affecting people's perception of reality, you have more faith in humanity than I do. I agree with the red letter media guy when he says,
most people are dumb and don't like to be challenged intellectually or emotionally. They like the familiar and gravitate towards things that feel safe and non-confrontational, just like how most newspapers are written on the 4th grade reading level. You see, the average human IQ is 100.
What we watch impacts our perception of reality. The female characters in Jackson's films may have had less screen time than the men because Lord of the Rings was inspired by Tolkien's own experience fighting with other men in World War I. But nevertheless, the female characters in Jackson's films are strong and brave. Eowyn and Arwen both defy society's expectations of who they should be with, where they should be, and what they should be doing. Everyone in Arwen's society tells her that she has to give up on this love she has for this human mortal man.
If Sauron is defeated and Aragorn made king and all that you hope for comes true, you will still have to taste the bitterness of mortality. Whether by the sword or the slow decay of time, Aragorn will die.
And sail to the Undying Lands and forget about him.
Lady Arwen, we cannot delay. My lady!
She makes a totally different decision. Goes against everything her father says, everything her society says.
I looked into your future and I saw death.
There is also life. You saw there was a child. You saw my son. If I leave him now, I will regret it forever.
And I love what Liv Tyler said about this character.
You don't have to put a sword in her hands to make her strong. And where we've come to now is all these true elements of who Arwen is. I mean, this is an incredibly powerful and fearless woman. Keep it. Filled with so much hope and belief, and that is strong enough.
You don't have to put a sword in her hand to make her a empowered female character. Isn't that interesting? Eowyn, on the other hand, is depicted as a strong female warrior. But unlike Galadriel, she doesn't need to do everything all by herself.
No man can kill me. Die now.
Just because Mary, a character with a penis has to help a woman out. Just because Mary disables the Witch King momentarily, giving Eowyn a chance to be the most badass female character in all cinematic history, it does not take away from the empower moment. This is the best and most badass female empowered scene in any movie.
I am no man.
Galadriel in Jackson's films can be scary because her magic is powerful. She's imperfect and she is tempted by the ring. She doesn't have to be a perfect warrior with the upper body strength of a man. She's a wise and empowered leader. She's a spiritual guide for those in pain. She's a character loved and admired by everyone around her. I've watched Jackson's films so many times. I never tire of these female characters. But after 3 hours with the fearless, indestructible, entitled brat of the main protagonist in Rings of Power, I'm bored out of my mind and I can't stand to watch another episode with this character. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.